Welcome to the Cashflow Project Podcast. Are you looking to better your financial situation by increasing your cash flow? Too busy to hunt for real estate deals or don't know where to start? Then you're in the right spot. Join us as we dive in and talk about investing for cash flow using multifamily real estate.
Welcome to the Cashflow Project. I'm your host, Duc with Tri-City Equity Group. With me is my co-host, Steve Heroes. Today we have Indar Lange on the show. Indar is the owner of Our Home Investments, a residential flipping company operating throughout Hawaii, having completed over 60 projects. In addition to the flipping business, he owns a portfolio of 12 rentals in Hawaii and 13 in Ohio. Indar is from the Big Island and has a background in electrical engineering and business. Indar, welcome to the show.
Aloha, guys. Aloha. Thank you for having me. That's awesome. It's awesome to be on another show.
All right. So how did you get started in your journey to earn passive cash flow?
I'm a flipper by trade, and a passive kind of came down the line later on. We started flipping about 2015 is when we first kind of started our first deal. My wife drugged me into one of those shows, and I was like, no, I don't want to go to that. And it was great because it opened my mind to education. And now I'm a big believer in education, and I sign up with all kinds of different programs, and I'm constantly trying to learn. But I remember back then I was like, no, I don't want to hear from them. They're trying to sell me. But now I'm a big believer in all of that, and pretty cool to grow from there.
Yeah. So why did you decide to get into the flipping business as opposed to, say, the normal W-2 path?
Yeah, that was a good question. It means a lot, actually, that kind of question, because it's what everyone's why, really. So I had a great job. I was working for my dad's company. Before that, I had an electrical engineering degree. I was kind of in line to take over my dad's company. He's a big company, construction maintenance company. Pays great. Had an electrical engineering degree. Pays great. Top off maybe $150,000, which is great money for most people. But constantly, I've always had that dream inside of me to make millions. Make a lot more for myself. I paddle canoe, and I'm paddling a lot here in Hawaii, and I'm a member of Outrigger Canoe Club. So I'm around all these millionaire successful people. And how do they do it? How do they get to that and they either do it by real estate or have real estate in their portfolio. So real estate is just in that mix of becoming a millionaire. So, that kind of led the dream off, and got my kind of feet wet. We bought our own little condo, 600 square feet, little box. That's all the bank would give me at the time. This was me, my wife, my girlfriend at the time, and we fixed it up. We sold it in 2 years, and right then is when I signed up that program. And I took that $90,000 we made, instead of buying another place, we actually rented for 2 years, and I took that $90,000, and that was kind of mixed into part of our first flip. And that kind of kept us going from there. We flipped, I don't know, we have 15 projects going on right now, but we didn't start like that, of course. We did 1, 2, first 1 year, and then 2, 3. It's a slow process. Definitely a hard process. I mean, I was struggling like 9 months to get my first deal after we signed up that program. Everyone signs up all these programs, but, no one really commits to it, I guess you can say. You really got to dive on into whatever you're doing. And we try to do it as a side hustle, but you really got to commit to it, to finding it, and really do everything it takes. It's really hard to leave life, our great W-2 job, our great paying mind, and go to something else that is a risk, that doesn't pay right away, because that's what real estate is. It's not a one night success kind of thing. It's real estate, even what you guys do. It's not an overnight success. It's really a long term life goal to millions. But it's so hard because we're human nature. We want it now. We want it right away. I struggle with this actually right now. So some of my projects that I flip, that I'll sell, I can flip them right away and sell them and make, 50,000, whatever. Or I can refinance and keep these. And I use a BRRRR model, and I can keep these as a long-term investment. And for a while, that kind of got into my head and really bothered me. And I was just more into flipping. And now, I do the math and then, I make the money over long term, but the huge part of my money savings that you guys get is the depreciation now. So I need things like depreciation. We're doing some cost segregations this year to really, really, people don't realize that, but you make even a lot more money doing that by saving on taxes and stuff like that. I mean, you guys see it in your industry. There's some big dogs. I think they just buy stuff just for the tax depreciation. I mean, they don't even buy it for cash flow. It's crazy with that real estate.
Definitely. I couldn't agree more. It's not it's how much you make, but it's how much you keep, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how did you scale from the first couple flips to now having flipped over 60 homes?
I mean, yeah, it's a slow process. You don't just dive on in. I do this with all hard money lenders and private money investors and so forth. A lot of people ask, why don't you just use all your money into a deal and buy it all cash? We chuckle in our industry with some of the hired guys that that's an amateur way to do it. You really got to have investors and you really got to have hard money and use it. That's the only way to scale this business. Because say I got all my money into one deal, another deal pops up, I can't do the deal, or so much happens in a lot of deals is we go over budget. Things come up, so now I'm actually more spread out. I have trickles of money in all these deals, and that's how I can do 15, 16 deals. It was really a huge, huge learning curve to do it. But actually, what I'll talk about is some of the negative things that I learned when I started growing that what people love was a few things was, you guys will love to hear this kind of stuff, is it was the money. Yeah. Growing so fast and growing big, going 3 to 4 is fine. But when you jump up to 15, 16, your money is really spread out. I struggled with a couple things like, we get rehab budgets from our hard money lender. They give us, $100,000 for hard money, but they don't give us up front. They give us in draws and pulls. So they'll only give me a third. As I do work, I ask for money. So I wasn't factoring that in. I was thinking, okay, I got $100,000 from my hard money investor. That's great. Let's do another project. I got another $100,000. What happened was I was, 30,000 into this project of my own money that I didn't expect. Then I get money. Take that 30,000 times 15 project. That's a lot of money spread out into projects. And so that was a huge, huge learning curve where I was struggling because I like, where's all my money? Where is everything? And it, I didn't expect that and couple. So now I factor it into a deal. When I start a deal, I'll do OPM. I'll get more other people's money off the bat. So what? I got to pay a couple more percent, a couple more thousand, 3,000. Like if that hurts my deal, it's not a deal. So, I make sure I get more than enough. And then, I can sleep at night. I'm more comfortable. A little more trick I do too is when I submit my rehab budget to my hard money lender, I'll front load it, meaning the items in the front are more than what they are, like demo windows, permits. I was really honest at first with them. And then one of my hard money lenders actually told me, he's like, you don't have to be so honest. So now our demo is 15,000 and our windows are like 8,000. So things I'm doing up the front, so I can get the money faster. It's very hard on construction because you spend a lot of money up front, but you didn't realize it doesn't look like it. Like you'll spend a lot of money up front on a job and it never really looks like it until obviously later on. But that was a huge, huge part of learning curve when I started growing. And the growing process really was, it was a forced process. I was still trying to struggle, work with my dad's company, run that company on the side. Actually, I was trying to do that full time and do this on the side. And my dad had a partner, just partnered with some dude, this guy, a Jewish guy, super, I don't know if you guys, the Jewish guys, they're just super business strong, savvy, just they're beast in business. I gotta admit. And I wasn't pulling my weight. And my dad left to go see my grandma for 2 weeks and the guy fired me. My dad was gone. And I wasn't pulling my weight. I was trying to run both and have multiple projects going on. And my dad's super cool about it all, but this Jewish guy wasn't. So it was for the best, to get fired from a long-term job and from something I knew I could take over. It's a great company. I mean, to run a business. So I had that background of construction, and I have a contractor's license, and I had that background of kind of running business and company. So that kind of just led into doing more and more and more. And, I have that appetite to do more and want more. And I think couple things that really get me, I have some mentors here in Hawaii. This guy, I love the way things he says. He's, one of my third, fourth deals I was going to do. And he told me, it was in Makaha. I was like going to make 40 grand. I was like, it's a horrible deal. Everyone's like, my dad's, no, don't do it. It's a horrible deal. And the guy told me, hey, you make zero, you make nothing, you don't do the deal. That's fine. Or you do the deal and you make 40 grand. He's like, somebody's going to do the deal. Somebody's going to figure it out. And I think that's always been in my mindset. Somebody's going to do the deal. Somebody's going to figure it out. Like, you are not. When I look at a project and it's super hard, and like, somebody's going to figure it out. And, it just either is you or somebody else. So I have that mindset that somebody's going to do it. If the numbers work, you guys know, you guys are numbers gurus over there. And you guys know if the numbers work, you just figure it out. I feel like that's real estate right there in a nutshell. It's numbers, and if they work, somebody's going to figure it out. And I took some hard challenges at the beginning, and I really did projects that no one wanted. Changing out 14 support beams in a house in Manoa, ready to fall down, all rotten, huge beams. I did stuff that were just horrible tear downs, like held up with stilts and poles. And I really took those challenges on. And now I look at a project and I'm like, you know what I mean? Like you do that kind of stuff at the beginning. Now you just look at projects and you're like, that's easy. You know what I mean? So, I took that challenge and that mindset of somebody's going to do it. Somebody's going to figure out, it's either you're going to figure it out or somebody else. I'm sure you guys trust, and that's what it is. We end up trusting your numbers. And when you're new, you get all emotional, we get really emotional towards houses and towards projects. And Steve, when you work with your buyers over there buying and selling your houses, they're so emotional when they buy a house, and they're so, in love with it all. And, once we take that emotion out, we know this deal works, the numbers work, and trust the numbers, right? I mean,
yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I definitely want to highlight that point about the working capital thing, because we had that same issue with our multifamily deals. When it's a loan to cost deal, we have to submit draws to the bank to, get reimbursed later. So you always have to build it into the budget to have working capital to be able to support, that short-term liquidity to do the CapEx and then get reimbursed later. So
now I add a third to my, to what I need to my fund. I get a third of my rehab budget up front. So I change that little model around. So all my deals grow. You know what it is? It's because here in Hawaii, even your guys' deals, like in the mainland, and those small little dinky $100,000 flips that people do, like they didn't have to account for that kind of stuff. But when we're doing, flips here, I did Portlock and I spent $670,000 on a rehab. That's the price of a home in America. And
multiple houses. You can buy half the neighborhood for.
There was no one scaling Hawaii. When I started, there was no one doing it big. And I had no one to look up to, no local person. And I remember I hated that. There was people doing one or two. Mazzella was just starting out, and he's a different strategy. He partners, and there was no one really doing it big. And I just thought to myself, somebody's going to do it, and somebody's going to grow this. There was so much negative haters out there. And for the listeners out there, another tidbit I take into really important to me now is I don't listen to people who have less than me, family included. And that deal I was telling you about with my dad telling me not to do that deal. Successful businessman, he has, money and so forth, but he's not the multi-millionaire. So I only listen to people who have a lot of money, who are very successful, So I take that into really pride here, because there's so much negative people when I first started. You can't flip Hawaii. Hawaii's too expensive. Our prices are too crazy. And there's no one really scaling this. And again, to me, it's just the wild, wild west that no one's doing it. Somebody's going to figure it out and do it. So, why not being me, and thinking that, but yeah, I don't listen to people who have less than me now. And I still get negative haters out there, of course, and people who don't understand. Sometimes I think it is people are like, oh, if you can do it, why can't I? Kind of thinking maybe that what bothers people, that if he can do it, I can't. Why is that? And we can all do it. And that's a cool thing about real estate. It's such a easy to understand thing. You buy a house here, you fix it there, and you sell it. It's such easy, tangible thing. And even what you guys is very complicated when you get into it, but when you break it down, it's very simple and understandable. And you can talk to investors and people can relate to it. It's just the cojones of it all, the balls of it all, to do a deal, because, we're not playing with little numbers. And I'm sure you guys relate to that, but you're comfortable now when you're talking millions and stuff like that. But if you sat back and you've talked and you looked at what you're doing, you guys are doing, what we do, it's a lot of money. A lot of money. It's like, wow. Sometimes I'm in awe when I buy $1 million house, and it's no big deal to me. I'm like, oh my gosh, it is really.
Definitely. So speaking of scaling, I know you use assistants and VAs to support your business. So can you tell us more about how you hired and manage them and what roles they serve in your company?
So yeah, that's actually a huge weakness of mine. Is I'm still doing it all myself. I'm still doing it me. I have a great construction team of it. And again, I have that background in construction. So I used to, scaling construction was easier for me. First project did it. My contractor started using drugs again. And so I had to let him go, and I had to jump in and then manage the project and start subbing out. Second, third projects came in, and I was still doing all subs. So I'd bring in painters, plumbers, electricians, and it's a lot to manage when you're a project manager and kind of running that. So then I kind of started flowing and looking for contractors that couldn't do it all, that were kind of a one-stop shop kind of crew. They can do tile painting, they can do it all. Electricians and plumbers I still make sure they're separate. That's two trades that you want to make sure they're licensed and done right, because those are huge, important trades. But I'll look for a crew that can do it all and they can run a whole project. And I kind of train them as they grow. Again, I have that knowledge of myself. So that's how I scaled in construction side of things. And I have a project manager and things like that now run around. Actually, I call Home Depot my silent partner, honestly. Home Depot is my silent partner. So they're a huge reason why I'm able to scale now. I have a private account with them. I'm a managed account. Home Depot, if you guys don't know, here in Hawaii is the largest Home Depot in the United States, believe it or not. The one in Iwale, it's crazy you think that, but it's because it's so centralized and we have nothing else other than Lowe's. And we're so more into Home Depot, most people here in Hawaii. So they're largest account. So I'm one of the 33 largest customers. We did just shy of 600,000 with them last year. So I'm a huge customer with them. So in turn, they gave me my own account and so forth. And we're able to scale hugely. Like now, like tools, for example, huge tools. I just rent tools now. I used to be buying all kinds of jackhammers and all this and brakes. And so now I just use Home Depot as my shop to get tools. Material and everything is just text and delivered, and it's super easy to really scale and grow in construction now that way with the help of great team. And so that was kind of how I grew construction wise. Then the management side of the office, what is just me. And then once I got fired from that job, obviously led me to force me to learn to do this and grow. And I still have a huge problem in I'm trying to do it all myself. No one does it as good as me. And that's really a bad mindset that I struggle with. I do have a VA in the mainland of Canada. she's actually Jeffrey Samuel's old VA, and so she had knowledge of the business and so forth. And she's great. She's a great help. And there's so much paperwork involved. Steve, just the real estate transaction itself. Like, I didn't realize how much paperwork you guys got to do with just as agents, into escrow. Like, there's so much paperwork involved. It's great to have a girl fill out all my notes and deeds, and it's so much random stuff. It's crazy. There's no like specific thing. And I'm actually trying to find a new girl. I just actually hired a new girl here. She was my right-hand man girl, and she was here for 2 weeks. And I think I gave her too much, because 2 weeks and she was gone. The harder side of things is rentals. Dealing with renter people in general are stressful, and they're not in generally great people to deal with, because I'm property managing as well, my team. They're not essentially easy people to deal with, and they're hard to find rentals. Like, we were buying a bunch of rentals at once, and so we had to fill all these renters once. She had to interview and find all these people. So it was very hard for her, and maybe I overwhelmed her with too much stuff. But I was taking her under my wing. I was showing her all this stuff, and I don't think she ever realized how much she was getting, because I get a lot of people who want to learn from me and want to talk to me, and I was just sharing it all with her, because I don't know, I just feel compelled sometimes when somebody's helping me, I help them back. But my other assistant is my wife. She does a lot of the other things. With 15 homes, we have 15 electric bills and 15 water bills and 15. So it's a lot of bills and a lot of mundane tasks that are not fun behind the scenes. If you guys follow me on my Instagram, a shameless plug here, Indar Hawaii, I show all the fun stuff I was doing, but 80% of it is behind the scenes, on the computer, and it's not exciting glitz and glamour stuff. It's numbers.
It's the stuff that people need to hear, right? Like that side of the coin.
I mean, it's hard to share that kind of by sitting in your office and you're like typing on a computer. Like, people don't want to see that.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, you have to. You're trying to manage so many projects. You've got active flips, you've got your rentals, that kind of stuff too. So.
I have huge KPI trackers from tracking our rehab budgets now. Oh, another thing I struggled with, started doing. I guess I'm talking about struggles here today, but I feel like struggles is what I really want to hear as an investor. I don't want to hear all the glitz and glam. I really want to hear something different. So maybe I'll share. So another thing I struggled with was I did 1 or 2 flips, easy to track. You save your receipts, had a folder, and saved it all. When you start getting multiples, like, how do you start doing it? I kind of started getting loose in it all. And when I finished a project, I knew rough numbers. Like, I knew big costs. The project was about, I don't know, 80,000. So I knew rough numbers, but then I kind of got sloppy and started fully tracking. And now, big thing that I use now is I have just a Google sheet, and it's just it's Google app sheet, and it has a list of all my properties, and they can just go and plug in whatever materials bought. All my guys, other people buy materials. And so I can really track it down to the T. Like, I'm down to the cent on a project, every project I do. So I really track and all of that. And then I use those analytics to see in a KPI tracker. For anybody listening out there, KPI trackers are key performance indicators, where you can see, for example, what you estimated your rehab to be, and then what it actually turned out to be. You can take those numbers and use that next time. I averaged 20,000 over. So now I'll take that averages and I can use that, or average price per square foot. I listen to some of the guys like Ryan up there in Vegas, and they do a price per square foot of $20 per square foot for a rehab is their estimate. I think he does like 25, 30, like he has 3 different, depending on the models. That's how they're estimating their rehabs, just by price per square foot. I'm nowhere close to those price per square foot. We're at a 45, 52 is my actual average right now on all of them. So your users out there, if you want to use $50 a square foot, it's a safe number. But it's great to have that information because we've actually done 62 flips now. So it's a lot. And looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, I was actually just looking at all the numbers and we've done 70 million in projects. And I'm like, oh my God, that's a lot. And I'm not a realtor. You guys, I hear him brag. Sometimes we did 70 million volume. I'm like, well, I'm the other guy. I'm on the 97% side of it. So it's a little different. So it's a huge risk. But those are some, crazy big numbers. And I'm like, can't even believe it sometimes. Some of these huge numbers, especially I see these mainland flipper guys and they do 100+ projects a year. There's this one girl, she's in Indiana. Oh no, she's in Ohio, I think. And she's a beast and they're doing 100 something project. And then she just released her numbers. She did 4.5 million. I'm like 4.5 million. Jeez, that's like one project. and so I always envy them that they're doing 100+ projects a year. But we did 25 million last year, 2020. And, that was only 20 something projects.
You're like, I can ramp that up. We can step that up, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. So what I know you're building out your rental portfolio and whatnot. What's kind of your goal on that side? Because I got to think there's a couple of different facets that you're working with there. Some of it is like, hey, we've got to build some more passive income, right? Yeah. Because you got so much active income. It's like, hey, it's still, it's still kind of a job, right? Like you're the project manager.
Exactly. Yeah.
You got to have some mailbox money, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you hit the nail on it right there, man. Flipping is a job. Flipping is work. I got to show up and I got to manage. And you want to talk about stressful? Yeah, it's stressful.
Absolutely.
I think at the beginning of this year, we were in Ohio more. So we were doing more in Ohio. And Ohio's, if anyone wants to know out there, Ohio is the second best rental state in the United States. Indiana is number 1. Ohio is number 2. I think Texas or Tennessee is 3. But for rental wise, for what you can buy to what you can rent out for single family. Sorry, I don't know. You guys know the family stuff, numbers. So I met up with the partner. I was stemming off to get in more rentals. That was the later part of last year, 2019. And we started pressing more and more for Ohio just because the numbers are crazy. You buy a $100,000 house and they rent for $1,400, $1,200. There's no way you're making that here in Hawaii. There's no way. And, I laugh at a realtor who will tell me, oh, this is a great rental. Like right off the bat, when a realtor says this is a great rental here in Hawaii, I'm like, this is a brand new realtor. They don't know that. Because Hawaii is, I think it's the second worst rental market in the United States. So for somebody to say in Hawaii is a great rental, you guys know. And for a newbie realtor, oh, this is a great rental. You put $600,000 in cash into the house. Yeah, maybe it'll be a great rental, but your cap rates and your returns are horrible.
Where do you? Yeah, no, you're totally right. Where do you see kind of that side of the business going though? Like do you have a goal in mind, or is it just like?
Yeah, well, I really love the Burr model. So we Burr everything, and the Burr model is just such a cool model, and it's cool, and the lingo, the whole process is just like, I don't know. I love it. It's so awesome. And I had that desire secretly to do more and more here, but I couldn't. And I had that mindset again that can't do Hawaii. It's too expensive. You can't Burr it. And I follow 1% rule. For the users out there, what I do on here in Hawaii as well as in Ohio, we follow a Burr method. We buy, we fix them up, and then we rent them out. And then we refinance and take all our money out. And the two large rules that I follow, just kind of roughly rules to use, is we use a 70% rule, 75% rule. So we make sure we're all in on the buy at 70% below the value. That's including rehab, all your lending funds, everything needs to be 70% below the ARV, below the actual value when it's all fixed up. So 6 months and 1 day, you can approach a bank and you could refinance, either conventional refinance, and you can do 10 houses in your name. And now I'm actually working with putting my wife putting into her name, because you can do 10, or you can do a hard money refinance and do it a little more interest rate, 6% or so, but it's still not too bad. And throw it into a company and so forth. And then it's not a part of you. And then later on, we get into portfolio loans. But so we follow 7% rule, and we also follow the 1% rule. And the 1% rule is just such an easy rule to look at. And for all the users out there listening, it's whatever you buy the house at, all in. So maybe we're all in at 100,000. You should rent for $1,000, dollars. Compared to here in Hawaii, an average price of a home is like $6,000, 600,000. There's no way you're making $6,000 a month. That's very hard to come by. There are exceptions to the rule, but in general, Hawaii is very horrible at those numbers, following that rule. So both of those rules have to work for me to even look and think about a deal. And I'll finagle. Actually, when you get into like a $500,000 house or so forth, you don't have to follow it as strict, I guess you can say. Then you start looking at what's your actual cash flow and so forth. Again, for all the users out there, when you're looking at these stuff, don't forget your capital expenditures, vacancies. I see so many people running deals and they're not talking about that they're not factoring that into their deal. And, those things will get you hurt big time. You have 1 month vacant property, there goes all your profit for the year. So if you're not having we use just 5% vacancies, depending. But, people don't take those little things into account here. So again, I was doing Ohio, and I really wanted to do more here in Hawaii, just because it's nice to be around the properties and be able to manage it. There's something about that, to be able to go see, touch, feel, walk in, walk through a property that, it's something cool to be around you. So just kind of slowly started peaking in Hawaii and started peaking. And then as you start looking, it will come kind of thing. What is that movie? They Will Come. I don't know what that movie is, but
Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams. Yeah, you build it, they will come. And that's what it was. Is I didn't think I could do Hawaii rental markets because they weren't working. And I just kind of started peaking in the beginning of 2020. And this year alone, we got over 13 this year. We have rentals. That was all this year. And they're all BRRRR models. Some of the BRRRR models, when we refinance out, yes, we do have maybe 10 grand or so in it, but I'm okay with that because I do need to put my money someplace. But we just keep scaling that BRRRR model. And that BRRRR model is really awesome because I love it. It's infinite return on your investment, and it's so cool to think like I'm got a free house that's cash flowing. And the huge part of it this year that I really, really love is, okay, again, we made cash flow, we make money, but the huge saving is I made a shit ton of money flipping. Sorry for saying that, but I made a ton of money flipping. My flipping company is super profitable, but how do I write all that off? And of course we can do depreciation, but this year I'm first time doing is a cost segregation, and the cost segregations are huge. I was going to pay without my rental portfolio, I would have had to pay $80,000, $90,000 in taxes. That's a lot. Now we can use our depreciations and our cost segregations are basically almost wiping us down to zero. And this is all legally, guys. Anyone listening, we do it all legally. So by using the depreciation and some other things we have, I went and bought a car for 6,000 pounds and it's a company car. So other little tax things to do to wipe it down to, not having to pay taxes, but yet I get to show I made a lot of money for the banks. So I show them banks I made a lot of money, but they don't count the depreciation and stuff against you. And
Indar's hitting on a huge point there. And you're obviously experiencing this because of the sheer volume that you do. On the flip side, right? Like most people that are flipping are obviously not to the level that you are. But, obviously for, our syndication deals or our multifamily deals, we'd have, high income earners. Yeah. And it's like, hey, that's all active income. That's all tax at the highest, level for most of the, professionals. Yeah. It's like, you got to find a way to be able to defer some of those taxes or, do something with it and manage them because if not, that'll eat you alive. It's not it's not, it's not how much you earn it. It's how much you're actually getting to take home. And Uncle Sam they want their cut. But see, normally it's cost prohibitive though. Like you're not typically going to ever do cost seg on, single family house. It just doesn't make sense. The cost doesn't justify it. But you've got a portfolio now where it's large enough where, it can make sense. And that's something obviously we employ on the multifamily side, because day one, hey, you've got, multi-million-dollar, multi-unit, property. It's much easier to
That's
dive
technically
in.
money you guys made, or you and your team made, that people don't even think about, and you really made that money instead of paying $50,000 on tax. And you really, I think it's made money. In my mind, like, okay, yeah, I didn't have to pay 50. I made 50,000 more just by doing that. I mean,
Powerful.
I heard Trump did that one year. He bought some $5 million building like last minute of the year just for that savings, I know guys who in business who buy companies who are failing companies just for that write-off, because it's cheaper to buy out a company than to pay, 30%, whatever tax bracket you're in, to pay 30%, in taxes. People sometimes don't understand that sometimes too. So throw it out there. We bought a car. This cars are more easy to understand. We bought a car for a company, 70,000. It's over 6,000 pounds. So it's a work company car. We can able to depreciate 70,000. But people listening out there, we're not saving 70,000. We're really saving 20% of 70,000. So instead of paying taxes on 70,000, we're only paying taxes on what we would have paid taxes of that 70,000. I just want to throw it out there so people can understand that what we're talking about here. That we're not necessarily paying 70,000 in taxes. We're saving whatever taxes you would have paid on that 70,000. So sometimes people think of it, didn't understand that. I like to explain it.
I always think it's interesting too. Is like people want to talk about like, that's a loophole, because what you're talking about, right? Like it's the Hummer, the Hummer 179, right? It's like in the tax code.
Bonus.
But it's like, like Trump used all these, and I'm pretty sure he's done this multiple times. It's just like, he's a smart guy. You know what I mean? Like you've got a business owner, a very professional, long-term, incredibly successful, real estate, person in office. It's like, now you're get a chance to see, what a sharp, real estate
business
professional does.
Yeah.
It's like they're giving him a hard time about not paying taxes. And it's like, it's written into the tax code. Like you just have to learn how to play by the rules,
And people don't talk about the other benefit of it all. The reason they write it into the tax codes, because it promotes us business owners in real estate to take that money and to put it back into our economy. Yep. So they don't talk about that. That's the reason they have that behind it, is not to promote for the business owner to save. The real promotion is for us to spend money back into our economy, into our country. And maybe that's a reason why our country is so great, is because we have that kind of, things where we can bring it back into our country and use that money into the country.
Free markets, capitalism. It's a good thing.
Well, I feel like it's not a capitalistic market right now with how the election.
Oh, yeah. Another topic, another day, right?
Yeah.
Well, kind of, bringing us back a little bit. So, talking about kind of current stuff and current events and kind of whatnot, right now we're recording this, we're just kind of starting out 2021. Mm-hmm. Obviously we've dealt with COVID and all this kind of stuff for the last, vast portion of last year. How have you seen that impact, like your projects, your current stuff? Like, how did you have to kind of modify for that in your business?
That's a great question, because I remember when COVID started, and I kind of took a few days to analyze and just felt where I'm going, what I'm going to do. And I went full force for it. I went feet, balls to the wall, 100% for it, because I analyzed the market and I seen interest rates were just dropping and they were going down. And to me, interest rates control what we do, what the average homeowner buys and does. And so much so, I'm worried if the interest rates even go up 4 or 5%, next year or so forth, which is still ultimately great low rates, the media will create kind of they'll create a big thing about it. And they will they'll downsize that whole thing and will probably slow down the consumers buying and selling. And ultimately they shouldn't, because 4 or 5% is still great rates. But I think the media may, throw a wrench in our, if later on down the line, I'm worried about if that goes up. But when the interest rates were so low during COVID and everything, and I knew Hawaii already has a low market. I mean, Steve, Doc, you guys know, before we started COVID, we had a low inventory. I think we were like 20% low inventory before COVID. And I had a deal right at the beginning I was trying to fund, and all the hard money lenders shut down. Every hard money almost shut down. And so I was like, oh my God, I can't get any funding for these deals. And what's going on? What am I going to do? I had some really hot deals, really smoking deals lined up. And I was like, oh, shoot, so I can't get any money for these deals. What am I going to do? And that's when I realized no one else is going to be able to get money for these deals as well. No one else is going to be flipping these projects. No one else is going to be doing anything. So why don't I do some deals and have some stuff come on the market? And last week we had one that just finished. It was a COVID bought project. They had 3-4 more that popped off in the market, maybe a month ago. And you guys know the market now. We're all way over asking, all way over. I mean, I think we're taking a 80, 90,000 over asking, the one we just sold in Kailua last week. Over asking, So beginning of COVID, when no one was lending, everyone shut down, I was busting my butt, finding money, finding investors, doing higher rate of deals. Like I would bring more investors into deals where I pay 12% for my private money investors. I did a mass email out to I went to Bigger Pockets and I looked up all the hard money lenders, made a huge spreadsheet of like 30 different hard money lenders, BCC'd all of them, same email, this is a deal, and so forth. And luckily I have a proven track record that the big companies, was a Civic, Nima One, Anchor, some of the big companies, they would lend only to Class A investors, they call them. You had to have 26 deals under your belt to even lend to you. This is COVID now. So luckily I had that many projects underneath my belt, and they wouldn't, if you're a newbie, they would not touch you at all. So I was able to get funding from bigger companies. It was still like tooth and nail to do. Actually, some of them, Anchor, for example, would tell me the yes, and then they would analyze the deal. And I did one in Halava Heights, and they told me it was too rural of an area. I'm like, what? We're like 10 minutes from the airport. But that was their reasoning, that Halava is too rural. No. But yeah, they did a Kaneohe fund for me, which is probably more rural. But I really fought tooth and nail to make deals work. So much like they had hard monies were still canceling on me in middle of deals. And, with what we do here, you have to fund and close and be on it like 20 days. I do a 25 day close. Luckily I have great investors. I have plan B investors, higher rate investors, because again, somebody's going to do the deal and somebody's going to figure out. So I did some deals where I just brought in some higher rate investors, hooing it all together. I have an investor who did private money, has a lot of it, but he's only going to fund 50% of my purchase. And that's a lot higher than hard money lenders. And that's kind of why I like to use hard money lenders, because they are cheaper, in general. But I just did the damn deal, and, I paid a lot more for my investors. But again, I wanted the deal. I wanted to figure it out. It was like a two week crunch. I had a deal that the lady, it was beginning of COVID. She thought the world's going to end, and she wanted the cash, and we're all going to die. Kind of, she's a little cuckoo. And I bought the house cash right away. 2 weeks. She wanted the money. I figured it out, and all investors and private money bought it. All I did was paint the house, turn around, and it sold it. And I made $60,000 off of that thing just by painting, cleaning it up. 5,000 rehab. But we were able to sell that thing real fast, and because they were kind of more freaking out. But I knew on our end, we already have a shortage of real estate, and now we have even a shortage more. I wish I bought even more during COVID. I made a huge mistake actually on one in Kaneohe that I sold. We took an offer mid-construction, and I went under contract, not mid, maybe towards the end of the construction. And we took an offer and we accepted. It was over my ARV. I think I projected 950, $1 million. So I took the offer at $1,050,000 over our ARV, and no realtors involved. Oh no, I did pay 2%. So there's savings there as well. And it was a nice feeling to have an offer, but I wish I came onto the market, came onto MLS, and you guys know we would have been just a bidding war. I think I have nice homes and they look very nice, so it's a lot easier to sell them. So I found out I'd left about $100,000 on the table on that deal. Appraiser came in and she's like, "No, we would have appraised at 1 something." So now I'm like, just put it on MLS and let the games begin. Right?
Oh, right now, especially, right? Yeah, it's
right
nuts.
Yeah. And,
well, so it's as my kind of last question to you, and maybe that was it. I don't know, but since you've done so many flips, like tell us like your favorite project. Like what was your favorite one? What's been the favorite one out of the $70 million in transactions that you've done?
I was showcasing that Portlock project a lot, and it was a really high end project. And I don't recommend high end projects for newbies out there. Definitely, they entail a lot. I mean, now you're putting lights under the cabs and you're putting little knicks-knacks, stuff like that. So in higher end projects, you really have to be very detailed into them and very involved into them, into the designing aspects. So I don't recommend them. And I'm actually looking in Kahala right now for some higher end projects. And the weird thing about higher end projects is the ARVs are so weird. What can you like? In Kahala, like, I don't even know where they get these numbers from. Like, I'll sell at 6 million or 10 million or 9 million. It's like they just pull these numbers out of the sky. And I don't even know. Sometimes those crazy $1 million, but they can go. And so that's the real risk in higher end projects. So we did that project up in Portlock. That here's another ninja tip for people that we analyzed the deal from the start, and we were going to make $600,000 from the start on this Portlock deal. They got it well below everyone else's, and other investors had the deal locked up, and I passed on it through an offer, and I was way below what everybody else wanted it. Circled back around, they fell out, I think, a few times. Some people lost money on the deal. I think losing the earnest money deposits. Actually, I heard some people lost money on that. They couldn't get it back. Like $40,000, a lot, and then we were just that low guy in the corner, like just sitting on the side. I circled back once around, "Hey, you guys still want my offer?" And we bought this Portlock house for 1.8 with a $25,000 credit. Always ask for a credit. Anyone listening out there, always ask for a credit. If they say as is, won't accept credits, ask. What can they say? We found mold. You make sure it's mold. It's not mildew. It's mold. And it was a damaged home. So we used that to negotiate down another $25,000, which is awesome. I asked for a $500 credit sometimes. It's money in my pocket. So always ask for a credit. Worst they're going to say is no. And another thing is I sometimes will ask for more than what it is, because they're going to normally counter back at half. That's, you guys see that all the time. They're going to counter at half. So I always ask for credit. But we brought that project, and I had a $600,000 profit. I was so excited. I was going to make all this money. And we came on the market right at COVID time, and we had some strong buyers, but everyone held back. And then it turned into a year wait, and really ate into, our profits and so forth. And our rehab budgets went way over. Those budgets are so hard to figure out. And those $1 million projects, we estimated 450, ended up being 650. So we 670. So we really kicked our budget there. So it happens. It happens to all of us. But again, I looked at my profit not as a profit, but I look at it as a cushion in case something can happen. So on a flip, I think my profits are a cushion in case something happens. So I get a lot from realtors that actually ask me, "Oh, what do you want to make on a project?" And it really depends more on the project itself. So if I'm going to do $1 million flip with a $600,000 rehab or something like that, I want to have a huge cushion. I don't want to be making like 100, 200 grand off the start looking at it, because a lot can happen. So that cushion really is covering, yes, I got contingencies in my rehab. Yes, I got overages, but still more can happen. Everything and anything will happen in real estate. If it doesn't happen, it will happen. And it just happens. It always happens. And when you don't expect it. So I make sure my cushions are comfortable, what I feel for that size of a project. You don't want to do $1 million flip and project 100,000 profit if it's a huge rehab. But I'll be fine for $100,000 profit on a smaller house. So my profits are more my cushions, what I feel comfortable in doing a flip. I want to analyze my numbers. So, the cushion is how is important. And that was my Portlock project. We bought 1.8. We sold at 3.2. That was a last minute deal. I had 2 weeks to fund that damn deal, 2 weeks to come up with 1.8 million. And that was hard. And I brought investors and got everybody, and ended up having equity partners in it as well. And it turned out to be a great deal. We made about 100,000. My other partners made about 40,000, and then our hard money, private monies, and all of them, they got paid out as well. We paid out almost 450,000 in private money to my investors. So I'm very thankful for all of my investors and my team that they're able to be a part of them. My investors are my lifeline of this business, and I'm really very grateful for all of them. I had one investor, I remember, did a flip with me, 10-month project, Manoa, and wife's saying I'm talking to you. But we did a flip, and I paid him out 40,000, and he went and bought a brand new Lexus the next day. I was like, I feel like I bought you a brand new Lexus, because he didn't know about investing. He took a HELOC out of his house that he had money just sitting there. And that year he ended up with a brand new Lexus and money later on. And, he just didn't realize that he had money sitting that he can invest. And I'm very prideful in my investors. I take them under my wing. I do a lot as I can do, from coaching them to showing them the ropes, to even if they just want to be private investors and nothing to do with it. I pay more than most of my competition. I pay 12%. My other people out there, the norm is 8 to 10% is what most people pay in the industry. I pay 12. But again, I'm looking at long term. So what? I got to pay more to investors. They'll be with me long term. They'll stick with me. They'll stick by me. So it's a great. That's how this business runs. And now we have so much more investors and so much more people, and that's kind of rolling to where I want to work with you guys on some stuff. Whereas I probably can fund your whole damn deal in one thing.
Let's do it.
I actually think I probably got about 1 million plus investors lined up right now. And I feel like I'm being lazy by not having this money put to use, put to work. And that's then my call to Doc, actually, to seeing how we can do something, because I feel like I'm being lazy by not having the money work for you. You know what I mean? Putting the money to work. It's all this money just sitting that needs to go to work, needs to get into business here.
There you go.
That's the underlining thing is, what you guys would do is milk money. It's putting this money to work and making money from it, long term or short term. But long term is the goal, of course. Long term is the fun side of it. Checks in the mail are awesome. Checks in the mail are pretty cool. Yeah.
Really? All right. So as we wrap this up, we have our normal fire round questions. So what is the best book that you recommend other than Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
I met Robert. He's a cool guy. I met him at Outrigger. And the E-Myth was a great one. The E-Myth was really head turner for me. Kind of helped me with the business side and scaling side as well. Not many people talk about that one, so I'd throw that one out there. Of course, Rich Dad Poor Dad, when I was younger, turned my head. I think Rich Dad Poor Dad is all our books that we all kind of got into this business from that book. I feel like, and because we can so relate to that book. I don't know. I do a lot of books on tape. I have like 4 books going right now. What am I going? I can't even think what I got. 4-Hour Work Week has got going on. I'm reading Power right now by Robert D. Greene, and Tax-Free Wealth is another one I'm doing right now. So just constantly just seeing how much knowledge you guys can, we can all put in our head and keep growing is awesome. I like The Art of War. I just did Crush It by Gary Vee. Gary Vee he's a beast. Unrelated to real estate, I like The Law of Attraction. If you guys want to just help spiritually and mentally, I really like that side of things. I'm into meditation and things like that as well. Just to clear my mind. Think and Grow Rich. That's a must read. Think and Grow Rich is a great book because it talks about so much different things of it all. But you know what? Let's not refer books and let's tell people to get out there and do a deal. I feel like there's so much people out there that know so much, and there's just a couple guys that know more than me, and I can rap with them and talk with them, but they've never done a deal. And it's like there's a point when you read, you just gotta take the action. And much as education is number one important, if you haven't done a deal, you just got to get out there, submit an offer, you struggle through it, figure it out. Because there's nothing like learning. You guys have new homeowners all the time, that the process of escrow, the about J1s, about, your appraisals and how important they are. Just going through an escrow, it's a huge learning itself. So, the learning of doing is ultimately the best learning. And it's like in the flipping world, and probably in you guys' world, that first deal is like, it's like popping your cherry for the first time. It's a mind explosion. Like it just makes you feel comfortable after that, and you feel like you're on top of the world, and it's really a feeling of you can do this. And it's just getting over that first one. And of course, you trust your numbers and make sure the deal works. But that's the hardest part of it, is pulling the trigger and doing the deal and being like that. As in real estate, you have to be like that. You don't have that second, third, I'll wait till tomorrow, or I'll write the offer 2 days from now. The deal's in escrow, and you guys probably see that even the regular homeowners that, we'll wait till next week. Oh, yeah. Right now. Yeah. Good luck waiting an hour. But books are great, and I love learning, and I love education, and I have 2 degrees, and I have a business degree as well. But there's nothing like street knowledge, hard knocks, getting out there, learning. I don't want you to fail, trust your numbers. And another ninja tip is so much time we were worried about finding money, everything else of the deal. Find a deal and everything else will come. You can't find the money. You can't find private money investors. Partner with somebody. Partner with me. Partner with somebody who knows what they're doing. Again, making zero or making half of something is still better than making nothing. That's what I did on my first deal, actually. I was scared shitless. I was buying this $700,000 house, and we were putting $90,000 into it, and we're selling at $1 million. I was so scared that I partnered with somebody, and it just gave me that comfort of being with somebody that knew what they're doing. Long story short, he actually ended up moving away and leaving me, and I had to figure it out myself. But it gave me the comfort at the beginning to know. And making half is a lot better than making nothing. Just get that first deal under your belt, all you guys out there. Jump in with Duc guys here and Steve guys, and just feel what it's like to and that's what I want to do with you guys, is just jump in and feel what it's like. In the multifamily world, I'm not familiar with it all at all. And I don't know how syndicates work with LPs and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just going to jump in and get my feet wet and feel what it's like. And you just learn by just being a part of, asking questions, of course, and all that kind of stuff. But books are great, but the streets are better.
So what is your superpower?
Finding investors. I'm very good at that and being a part of what I do. Maybe because I have a strong credibility packet of finding investors. I'm not all in on one deal. God forbid a deal goes south. I have a deal going south right now. We're losing 60 grand. My second deal ever, I lost 80 grand on that deal. And my superpower was pushing through it all and just keep moving forward. And they never look back, keep moving forward. So now that we have 14, 15 projects going on, I can eat it up if I have to. And I always pay back my investors. I always make sure they get paid. So I'll have to use my own money, whatever. I take the loss, because here in Hawaii, your name goes bad, you're done for. It's it's a small community. We all know each other. I know who you guys are before even talking to you. Steve, I feel like you're my friend, but I think we've talked a couple of times, but just from following each other, and we're all in that industry together. We all know each other. And so, especially I'm born and raised. So being born and raised, you really want to make sure you take care of all your investors. They're almost like friends to me. I do all the paperwork and I document everything, but when people invest with me, it's really a relationship business. They're really, build a relationship with all my investors, and it's really a relationship business. So finding funds, I'm pretty good at, as well as just being creative in our financing of deals, very creative of how I can structure and work with people. And I kind of bring the attitude of, what can I do to help them, instead of, what can I do for me? And, right away off the bat, or, that really changes the conversation. And so much so, I think it is a weakness as well, because sometimes I'm too helpful and I kind of scare people that, I don't make nothing money on it and they should do this. But, they all come back around. I feel like it comes back around. And so I always have that thought in my head, how I can help somebody the best possible way, lean into the best lucrative way for both of us. But, being creative in financing and being creative like that, I think is a really important structure of what I do. I'm buying these things really fast or short notices. A lot of times are being creative in subject twos, owner financing, taking people out of foreclosures that are, foreclosure could happen any day. I get this. I just bought this house in Hawaii Kai. If people want to know how long foreclosures can take, I just seen the paperwork on her court documents started in 2009. So all these people that think we're going to have all these foreclosures coming up this year and they're going to happen right now, no, we won't see these foreclosures trickling out for years and years to come. That foreclosure 2009, literally, I just bought the project like a month ago. So that lady was living for free. She was a squatter. I had to get her out super hard, really hard to get her out. But she was living for free. And that was the paperwork of 2009. So she probably, years before that, she wasn't paying her rent. So it depends on red states or green states, actually, the foreclosure process. In Republican states, you can get people out in like 30 days and foreclose on them. Red or blue, yeah. Sorry, red or blue states.
You have
amateur
Christmas.
But so all these people who are predicting all these foreclosures are going to come into fruition, we're going to see all this stuff. We won't, and they'll trickle out, because some foreclosures happen, in a year or so, and some they take years, and so they'll trickle around. So we'll see a flood here in our market, and that's speaking from experience. I buy a lot of foreclosures. So I am heavily involved in foreclosures, from courtroom steps to auctions to working with you guys, real estate people on short sales and so forth.
What is the biggest lesson that you've learned over your career?
The funds part of it, I was talking about, to have more than enough OPM. I was trying to like be tight with my money, and just have just enough, just have just enough. And, so that was a huge learning because I was struggling. Like I had a $60,000 mortgage last year, every month with all the combination of homes. And, that was a struggle. Like the first of the month, I was cringing to come around. And we were blowing through 150,000 a week, because I had a lot of high-end projects going on. I had Portlock, I had some Manoas, I had these other $1 million homes all going on. And so just getting enough OPM, money, and, that was a huge learning lesson, and, still learning today. I'm still learning new things today.
So for the busy working professional who is working towards financial freedom, what advice do you have?
I want to help everyone out there. I think if everyone just does one flip a year, it'll just blow your mind. And who wouldn't not want an extra, $80,000? We average $79,000 on a flip. Who would not want an extra $80,000 a year? That's a salary right there. I think we can all do this, and I think everyone can just do just one a year, and get out of your comfort zone, of course. But trusting the numbers, trusting the process and all that, but trusting the numbers that you feel comfortable with. Back to another learning tip for people out there. No offense to any realtors out there. Don't trust the realtor's numbers. Trust your own numbers. A lot of times a realtor will tell me the ARV or what they can sell a project for. They'll send me comps, or like, my house is 1,000 square feet and they're sending me this 2,000 square foot house as a comp. So as me as a new person, if I didn't realize that difference, thinking I can sell this house for $2 million, but that 2,000 square foot home is nothing to do with me, really. I just shared this yesterday, ninja tip. Be the expert in your market. Whatever house you guys are doing, first time homeowners buying their house, be that expert. You be the expert. Go to, in that neighborhood, know all the active, ask your realtor, what's all the active stuff? Tell them to send you a list of all the withdrawns and expired. Go on to Wahoo RE if you're here in Hawaii and check that website out and see what's going on. And to me, being the expert in that neighborhood before I even do a deal, I just feel that much more confident in understanding what my numbers will be and happen. And you're talking to investors, for example, you're the expert and you know what's selling and so forth, because ultimately it's your money at stake. It's no one else's money at stake. So it's not the realtor's responsibility. It's not anyone else's responsibility. It's your money at stake. So you need to be the expert of whatever you're buying and selling. It's not their risk. It's a lot different when it's your risk. If it's your money at stake, you're really going to look at it. And so, go on to Zillow, look at the Zestimate, go on to Redfin, look at the tax appraised value, and then look at all the comps. Go to open houses, know the neighborhood, and especially for all those new homeowners out there buying their first house, be that expert in that deal that you're looking at. And then you'll feel more confident in it all. Sorry, a little off topic.
You've been so generous with all the advice. So how can our audience get in touch with you?
Trying to build more following on my Instagram, and on my Facebook, I'm maxed out at 5,000. But follow me on my Instagram. It's Indar Hawaii, INDAR Hawaii. And you can just message me on there. Phone number is 808-989-2323, and then emails indar@ourhomeinvestments.com. But just follow me on Instagram. I'm going to try and do more tips and tricks. And again, I didn't have anyone to look up when I started here in Hawaii. So I'm just going to try and share as much as I can, as I can on Instagram, and kind of help people as much as I possibly can. And it's just nice that for me, it's nice to hear from somebody local here doing it, being, in our industry compared to a mailing guy coming in and trying to share. And he's, I think here in Hawaii, we have our own local ways, right? We have our own Hawaii ways of doing business. And it's very, I don't know, how would you guys describe Hawaii business? It's very relationship orientated. The aloha's aloha spirit, is very involved in doing business. We don't actually dress too business casual, do we? You have to go dust out the suit right when you guys go up to the mainland, right, to get that blazer. We should all be wearing blazers, right? And Steve, you dress nice sometimes.
I'll be flying to the mainland next week to go look at the next project. So, but yeah, I have to take that into consideration. It's
to go get the blazer.
I need to bring the blazer. Yeah.
And we feel like we're dressing nice when we have our college. I feel like here in Hawaii, we're all friends and we're all here to help each other. And it's not a competition mindset at all. There's plenty of deals to go around, and you help somebody out, it'll come back around. And I just have that mindset here in Hawaii, that it's all buddies. I know all the other big dogs in flipping. We're all friends. We actually have a little private group. We sit down and we share all our struggles, and it's pretty cool to sit around and really talk high level stuff that you wouldn't share with each other. And because we're all friends. We don't know each other. We're all buddies. So it's cool. But it's cool. I love Hawaii for that reason in itself.
Well, on that note, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah. Right on, guys. Thank you, Doc. Thank you, Steve. Yeah, awesome. And,
right on. Well, Happy New Year to you. Thanks so much for coming on.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for having me. Oh, Malamada Aina for all the new people out there. I like to say that. Take care of our land because that's what we're trying to do.